Rome, April the 12th, 2000.
6 minutes into the biggest comeback football had ever staged, the best striker on the planet plants his right leg and his kneecap explodes. Not a twist, not a strain. The tendon holding his kneecap snaps, live, in front of millions of people. The stadium goes quiet in a way stadiums are never quiet. He is 23 years old, and the first thing the doctors think is that he will never play football again. This is the story of the man they called the Phenomenon, and how he came back from the dead. Twice. Ronaldo Luis Nazario de Lima was born in 1976 in Bento Ribeiro, a poor suburb on the north side of Rio de Janeiro. His parents separated. Money was short, school came second, and football was played barefoot in the street because that is what there was. As a boy, he was invited to a trial at Flamengo, the biggest club in the country. He never went. The family could not afford the bus fare. The greatest striker of his generation missed his first shot at greatness over a bus ticket. So he learned his trade in futsal instead, on hard courts with a heavy ball, in games where you either invent moves or you never touch it. So he started smaller, at São Cristóvão, and then Cruzeiro, where a skinny teenager with buck teeth started scoring at a rate nobody could quite process. 44 goals in 47 games. Brazil noticed. At 17, he was at the World Cup. Brazil won it, and he became a world champion without kicking a single ball, watching every minute from the bench. The kid brought along to learn. He would spend the rest of his career being the lesson. PSV in Holland signed him on Romario's advice and got more than 50 goals in 2 seasons from a kid learning European football in real time. But it was the next move that changed what people thought a striker could be. Barcelona at 20. What followed may be the greatest single season any striker has ever produced. 47 goals in 49 games. Not tap-ins. He picked the ball up in midfield and ran through entire teams, faster with the ball than defenders were without it. In October, against Compostela, he collected the ball in his own half, was fouled 3 times without falling, and beat half a team before finishing. His own manager held his head in his hands. That season, FIFA named him the best player in the world. He was 20. Nobody younger has ever won it. Inter Milan smashed the world transfer record to take him to Italy, the hardest league on earth, where defending was a dark art and strikers got kicked for a living. He got better. 34 goals in his first season. He dragged Inter to the UEFA Cup, scoring in the final, and collected the Ballon d'Or at 21. Italy stopped using his name and started using a title. O Fenomeno, the Phenomenon. The defenders who faced him in those years still talk about it like survivors. July 1998. World Cup final. France against Brazil, and the whole planet is waiting for one man. And then, hours before kickoff, in the team hotel, Ronaldo suffers a convulsive fit in his sleep. His name is scratched from the team sheet. Then, less than an hour before kickoff, it reappears. Who decided, and why, has never been fully explained. He walked out that night like a ghost, a 21-year-old playing the biggest match on earth hours after a seizure. Brazil lost 3-0. The fallout was so big that the Brazilian Congress opened a formal inquiry into the final, dragging players and doctors in to testify about what happened in that hotel. And the blame of 200 million people landed on him. The next summer he answered the only way he knew how, dragging Brazil to the Copa America title as top scorer. The storm seemed to be passing. It was not. November 99. A routine league game in Lecce. His right knee buckles under him. The patella tendon torn. Surgery, 5 months of rehab, and a comeback final in Rome that the whole of Italy tuned in to watch. 6 minutes. That is how long the comeback lasted before the same knee did not just tear, but shattered, the kneecap ripping loose as he tried to step past a defender. Players from both teams turned away. Some could not look. He was carried off with his career hanging off the front of his leg. 17 months out, 2 operations. He had to learn to walk properly again, then jog, then run. A process so slow that most of football quietly wrote his obituary. He was still only 23. Japan and Korea, 2002. Ronaldo shows up at the World Cup on a knee held together by scar tissue and stubbornness, and does the single most storybook thing in the history of the sport. 8 goals, the golden boot. Half of them poked in with the very tip of his boot because the rebuilt knee could no longer swing freely, so he simply invented a shorter way to score. And in the final, against Germany, against the best goalkeeper alive, he scores both goals. Brazil, world champions for a 5th time. 4 years after Paris, the ghost story got its ending, written by the ghost himself. Even the haircut was part of it, that ridiculous half-moon haircut. He shaved it on purpose, mid-tournament, so the world's press would ask about his hair instead of his knee. It worked. He gave them a joke to chase and kept the pain to himself. Real Madrid bought him that summer, and the Galacticos era got its centre-forward. More than 100 goals in white. A league title in his first season, the top scorer's trophy the next, all of it on a knee that should not have worked. And one night in Manchester that says everything. In 2003, he tore Manchester United apart in their own stadium, a hat-trick of such violence and beauty that when he was substituted, Old Trafford stood up. United's own fans, applauding the man who had just knocked them out. It almost never happens. For him, it did. But the body kept sending bills. The weight the press mocked him for was partly a thyroid condition he played through for years. A 3rd knee rupture came at Milan in 2008, and still he refused to stop, going home to Corinthians and winning one last cup in front of his own people. On the 14th of February 2011, at 34, he sat in front of the cameras in Sao Paulo and cried. "The head wants to go on," he said, "but the body cannot take any more. I lost to my body." The most feared striker of his era, beaten by the only defender he could never get past. Ask the people who know. Zlatan calls him the greatest ever. So do half the strikers who came after him, because every one of them grew up copying him. 2 World Cups, 3 times the world's best player, 15 World Cup goals, and a knee that took the rest. These days he wears suits. He bought clubs, ran them, sold them, and even tried to run Brazilian football itself. But his real legacy is simpler. Somewhere in Rio, right now, there is a kid who cannot afford the bus. Ronaldo is what happens if that kid gets one ride, and football never saw anything like him again. If this story stayed with you, subscribe to Beyond the Boots for more. The boots tell the story. We just follow the footsteps.